television. And today we're going to be getting into a little bit of Peacemaker, episode 1 of season 2. But before we do, I want to remind all of you how awesome and amazing you are. I hope that we earn that subscription today. Hit that like button if you like what you see in here. Only together can we go straight to the moon, baby. And it helps the channel with the algorithm and all that beautiful stuff. But today let's get into the return of Peacemaker. The new season started this past Thursday. We're doing this recording Saturday morning. The first episode is entitled "The Ties That Grind." The ties that grind, not the ties that bind. The ties that grind. And of course, we have John Cena. I don't know. I didn't see him in this episode though. As Christopher Smith, aka Peacemaker. Danielle Brooks as Leote Adubayo. I'm so sorry with the mispronunciation of some of these names. Jennifer Holland as Emilia Harcourt. Steve Agee as John Economos. Robert Patrick as Augie Smith, John's father. I'm going to explain how that is possible. Because of what happened in season 1, right? Freddie Stroma as Vigilante, one of the more funnier characters of the show. Not all these people were in the first. Most of them were. Naut Lee as Judo Master. I think he was the only one really not technically in the episode. Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr. Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. Sean Gunn as Maxwell Lord. And David Denman as Keith, John's brother. And remember the little brother, his brother that he was made to fight, and he accidentally killed him. Well, he's also in this episode, right? And we're gonna get into that. But as we begin this review, we were wondering how they were going to make it to where at the end of season 1 of Peacemaker, we had the Justice League show up. And that really can't be happening. You can't really be continuing that continuity in this universe because this is a completely different universe. So what they did with the review of season 1 is that Leo, right? Daniel Brooks's character. Or am I getting that mixed up? I might be getting that mixed up. However, the call to Amanda Waller, right? Amanda Waller's daughter calls, and instead of calling in the Justice League, she asks her to call in the Justice Gang that we see in Superman, the James Gunn movie, Superman, right? So that's where everything that we know about these characters and everything happened the same as far as Peacemaker and the characters surrounding him in the first season. Everything was the same except for when the call came to bring in the Justice Gang instead of the Justice League. And that's where last season's Peacemaker characters that we know and this season's cast that we know diverge. Everything was the same up until that moment where it was the Justice Gang instead of the Justice League. And we see Guy and Hawkgirl making a joke about like how Aquaman and Flash did, because John Cena kept saying, "Oh, Aquaman's a fish lover, right?" But apparently the jokes were always about Guy Gardner. So that's how they're differentiating, making this a different. That's where Specifically, it's different from last season. But everything else that we know about these characters have happened the same way. And so to not lose that emotional investment that we laid into these characters last season. So what we do is we see Peacemaker getting driven to an audition for the Justice Gang, where we see Maxwell Lord, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl there, right? And it's in some abandoned toy store. Now, little does Maxwell Lord know that they can be heard through the intercom system. We see Peacemaker passing a woman on the way out crying, and he's trying to explain to him why he'd be a good member of the team. Meanwhile, they're talking about popcorn and butts and stuff like that as he's sitting here trying to, pour out his heart. And I will say, Guy Gardner, I've yet to see the Superman movie, but Guy Gardner is certainly the perfect, the Phillian is the perfect guy for this, I tell you. So he basically just leaves, and this whole episode is just how disheartened he is about the whole thing. He wants to be a hero. He wants to redeem himself in the eyes of everybody. That he's not just a loser. He just didn't fall into being a hero. He's always wanted to be a hero. He's always wanted to make amends for accidentally killing his brother. But it doesn't. It seems like at every turn, he's being blocked uh, from living his life the way to his full potential. And sometimes it's because he's getting in his own way, and sometimes it is that he's a victim of circumstance. So he gets dropped off. We see Eagly. Eagly is again so well done with the CGI stuff. I just think that's really, really awesome. Another thing that we're gonna just cover real quick because it was such an obvious thing, being everything so connected. Frank Flagg Senior, Rick Flagg Senior, was in Creature Commandos, the animated project that first came out under James Gunn rule. In that, he had white hair, but Frank Grillo has black hair, right? So it didn't seem like he was looking to dye his hair white. So the explanation to that is that he dyed his hair. The ego has made him dye his hair. But in this particular season, Frank Grillo, Rick Flex Senior, is going to be running this Argus basically, and he's having the the nerdy guy. What the hell is his name? No, Economus. He has him watching Peacemaker under surveillance, and Peacemaker doesn't know this. But what has happened is that John Cena discovered in this closet of his that leads to like a multiverse of worlds that his father had. He discovers a world that his brother, him, and their father are all heroes, and they're living a life, man. The father lives in a mansion. He's very loving to his sons, and it's blowing John Cena's mind because as much as he's looking to find purpose in his world, again, everywhere he's turning to, he's being denied the purpose. I mean, he's even, uh, with Harkhart, um, he has feelings there, but with her own issues, because like in this particular episode, she's on her own revenge tour, so to speak, in a way of that she can't. She's being blackballed because of Amanda Waller to work anywhere, and it's causing her to be self-destructive. She's even has been called toxic. She's has toxic masculinity in this episode. And near the end, she winds up getting her ass kicked, bro, by a bunch of dudes in a bar. She caused the, and not by just it being a smartass. I'm not saying it's right, getting beaten up a woman. I'm not saying that, but she was looking for trouble in a lot of different ways, and unfortunately, she found it in a place that no one was going to give her empathy on anything after a while. And it obviously is meant to be uncomfortable watching the beating. You know what I mean? You're supposed to, like, you think, oh, she's going to kick these guys' ass. She's getting hit here and there a little bit. But it then becomes highly uncomfortable near the end of that scene where it's just like, okay, like, stop. He's already dead. You know what I mean? Like that kid from that meme from The Simpsons. He's already gone. You know what I mean? It's like she was done. And it just really, again, lets you know where these characters are at. They're all of them are in a place that they don't want to be in. We have Amanda Waller's daughter living in a hotel room. John Cena's trying to. John Cena. John Cena's also trying to find purpose in life. But Peacemaker is trying to find purpose in life. Uh, a little toxic female agent there isn't doing too well either. She's not allowing herself to heal or to be loved or anything. And so, what winds up happening? Vigilante, he's just working at like a typical, the jobs we've seen him work at, like fast food places and stuff like that. There wasn't much of him too much in this episode, but what winds up happening is that John's Peacemaker. I keep wanting to call him John Cena. Peacemaker um, goes home and he's done because he tried to um, talk to Amelia and she wasn't hearing it, so it triggered him to go home and start drinking, start snorting fat rails like he was Tony Hawk. He grinding them rails, and within moments, it transitions into an orgy, and I guess John Cena not only likes the meat pocket, he also likes the meat sticks in here because at some point he's just like, um, he's having chicks and dudes kiss him or whatever like that, and then finally he goes to again the closet, right? The multiverse closet, I'm going to call it. And it must trigger something because Rick Flag wants um, John, the agent, to see what's going on there. And he's able to take a picture of Peacemaker in front of this door. He doesn't tell Rick Flag about it. All he says is what's going on is an orgy. But he does not tell him about Peacemaker's multiverse door closet there. But he does tell Amanda Waller's daughter. And she will talk to Peacemaker to let him know he's being watched because Ignomus, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, he isn't sure if he's being tested or not, but he still wants Peacemaker to know that he's being watched and that there's some Rick Flag is going to be coming for him. Because at the end of the day, they all bonded, at that last season. So she's going to do that for him. This is where, though, we see Robert Patrick in this. John Cena goes back to the world during this orgy. He goes back to the world where the father and the brother and him were heroes, right? And he gets to spend the night, a genuine, wonderful night with his father. Well, that version of his father, right? Because it's not really his father. It's that peacemaker, the peacemaker of that world. That's his father and brother. But to see, to get to see a night of his brother being alive as an adult, his father being a wonderful father, and him sitting there enjoying each other's time, so to speak, um, was mind blowing for Peacemaker. And the father goes to bed, the brother goes to bed, and before John Cena can leave, that world's version of him shows up and confronts him and thinks he's a shapeshifter and everything. And that Peacemaker is not letting the Peacemaker we know explain anything, and they start getting into a fight inside the multiverse closet. I'm gonna call it, okay. And they're going. Our Peacemaker's getting his ass kicked a little bit, and then at one point in the fight, he hits the opposing Peacemaker, Peacemaker B, right? Our Peacemaker's A, the B one over there. He hits the jetpack. Peacemaker B goes up, gets impaled, and dies. And that's where we leave the episode. Now, obviously, we're going to see the fallout from that, and chances are John Cena, our Peacemaker, is going to take over a little bit for the Peacemaker over there and fall into the lore trap of being accepted when in his own world he's not even accepted, and he gets to have his family back the way he wanted. But we're going to see how that plays out. I want to thank all of you again for tuning in and staying tuned. And as always, peace, Snookums.